What's up, guys? This is the one-year review for the New York Giants 2024 draft class. And guys, it was a good one, all right? And look, I know the season didn't go the way Giants fans wanted it to. I know Joe Schoen, Brian Daboll, probably both on the hot seat. And I'm recording this before the season ends just because I kind of want to do one of these videos for every single team in the NFL. Check it out if you're interested. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But I feel like the Giants season is probably over, so we can talk about the draft class as a whole. And after 1 year, I feel like we have a good feel for it. That's why we're doing this video now. So regardless, whatever happens, Joe Schoen might have lost his job just because Saquon Barkley went to the Eagles. That's a real possibility. I don't know how that's going to go.
I'm going to have a tough time sleeping if Saquon goes to Philadelphia, I'll tell you that.
He does not deserve to lose his job for this draft class, all right? Let's look at it as a whole real quick. We see they grabbed Malik Neighbors in the first round. They grabbed a safety, a corner in the second and third round, so secondary was a priority for the Giants, and I think it went a long way for the Giants. It definitely did. And then down the line, you grabbed a tight end, you grabbed a running back. Really, if you look at the class just as a whole, when they were going into this draft, they were really trying to make Daniel Jones work.
Work, damn it.
They got you a wide receiver. They found you a running back who would end up being very productive. They found you a tight end who would end up being maybe not productive, but end up flashing and kind of helping the offense down the stretch. I think Theo Johnson's going to be awesome. We're going to get to all that, but let's go ahead, kind of take a little bit deeper dive and look at some of these players. First of all, we got to talk about Malik Neighbors, their first pick in the draft at 6. This is the best rookie wide receiver in the class right now. Marvin Harrison went to the Cardinals 4th overall. He's a big name. Everybody loves him. He has not been as productive. He has not been as good, just plain and simple, as Malik Neighbors has been. Now, it's very early. This is a year one review. Things change. Guys develop. You do not know the full extent of how good this draft is going to be after 1 year, but it's looking like they got a star in Malik Neighbors. I don't really know how much analysis really needs to be made with Malik Neighbors. Obviously, you look at the stats, 90 receptions on 140 targets for just over 900 yards. That's as of recording this right now. He's got 3 more games. We'll see what happens with that. He's probably going to go over 1,000 yards. That feels like a pretty safe bet. He did that with, 4 different quarterbacks throwing the ball at this point in the season. Could it get up to 5 by the time the season's over? We'll see.
Hit me, I'm open. Hi.
Moving on to the second round, they grabbed Tyler Newman, safety out of Minnesota. He started since week 1. He did get injured in week 14, which has ended his rookie season, but he ended the season with 71 total tackles. He's been a great in-the-box safety for the Giants. Now, I won't sit here and tell you that he's been elite by any means, but as far as a second-round pick that went in, started from week 1, has played pretty well throughout the season, I like this pick. This isn't the best player they got in the secondary, in my opinion. I think the next guy we're going to talk about has been overall better, has had a better rookie season. But this is a guy who you have to feel confident is going to be a part of your defense for the next good little bit of time, at the very least for the next 3 years, and then obviously has a really good chance to earn that second contract with the Giants. That's down the road. Moving on, probably the biggest gem that they found, even though there are other names we're going to talk about down the line, Drew Phillips, cornerback out of Kentucky. He has been an amazing nickel corner for this team. Now, I've done a rookie watch video early on Drew Phillips before he really kind of just continued to dominate. But we are talking about the number 2 ranked corner on PFF. He had an absolutely awesome season. And by the way, looking at that graphic, it's kind of wild how 3 of the top 5 corners are all rookies. That just speaks to how great this draft class is. And I do think that needs to be part of the context we have when you talk about these draft classes, right? We went into the 2024 draft knowing that you had a lot of quarterbacks that were going to go early. We were going to have a lot of talent, a lot of blue chip talent in the early parts of the draft. They were in that range. They grabbed blue chip talent in the first round. And then down the line, there was a ton of depth at corner. They grabbed one in the third who has been awesome at that nickel corner position. Now, cornerback is still an issue for the Giants. They do need to address outside corner, I think, in the draft or in free agency at some point. But you got a great box safety and you got a great nickel corner. You got a lot of guys that are going to work really well in the middle of the field. Moving on to the 4th round. And look, most of these videos, I would really just talk about the top 3 picks and then kind of just touch on some players that were drafted later on if there was anything to talk about. We're going to talk about the top 5 rounds for this team because of how good it is. Theo Johnson, tight end out of Penn State. Penn State's always shitting out tight ends, it seems like. And this is another one who is really, really good. A week 1 starter that you took with the 107th pick in the draft, that's awesome. And he's flashed a ton, all right? Not insane numbers if we're looking at it, but it's enough to really, really be excited moving forward. I'm very excited for him. Again, all of these stats that I'm putting on the screen, they are as of right now, as of me recording after week 15, right? So not going to be their final stats if you're watching this later on. Last guy I want to talk about here is Tyrone Tracy, the 166th pick in the 5th round out of Purdue, was a wide receiver in college. He turned running back in his last season, and really he goes to the Giants. He earns that backup job in training camp over some of the other younger guys that they had that I'm blanking on off the top of my head, but he earns that backup job behind Singletary, who they brought in free agency to replace Saquon Barkley. And Singletary goes down. Tracy takes that starting job and just never relinquishes it, right? He has been awesome. I understand that Giants fans might not love him as much as a guy who isn't as, closely tied to the Giants do, because, I know. I saw him lose you 2 games with 2 critical fumbles. I get it. It was rough. One was in overtime in London, I believe, and then the other, they were playing, I forget who they were playing, but they were down on the goal line. He fumbles the ball, and they were never able, it was just never the same game after that. Either way, that's tough. That just is what it is. But Tyrone Tracy is a great running back. I think you're probably going to add another running back in this range in the 2025 draft class, and I think you got your 1-2 punch. Let Singletary go. You probably keep him 1 more year. He has the out after the 2025 season. You're not paying him that much anyway, so you probably keep him. Regardless, that is where we're at with this draft class. Also, I do want to do a special shout out to an Elijah Chapman, undrafted free agent guy who has earned starting snaps in week 13. Looking at this draft class as a whole, it's awesome, right? There's no doubt about it. They absolutely crushed this draft. You got 5 starters, 5 legitimate starters in the draft in year 1. They're not even done developing to what they can ultimately be in the NFL. That's amazing. That is incredible, and that deserves a ton of praise. This is one of the best draft classes in the 2024 draft out of every team. It is undeniable. Last thing I think about when I talk about the New York Giants 2024 draft is that first pick in Malik Neighbors versus the quarterback, right? As I mentioned earlier, it's kind of well known that they wanted to trade up and get Drake May. Drake May obviously wasn't available. You're at the 6th pick in the draft, and I'm going to put it up on the screen right now for you guys, just kind of play this out for you. We are right here at the 6th pick. The decision was already made, and we know this from watching Hard Knocks that they were going to probably take the wide receiver if Drake May wasn't there. So let's hold off on that thought. Let's hold off on kind of the scenarios that we've already seen on that show if you watched it, and just talk about hindsight a little bit of the names that they probably could have gotten. They could have drafted a quarterback. That's just a reality of the situation. They could have drafted a quarterback or drafted a J.C. Latham and helped the offensive line. I ultimately think Neighbors was the right call over any of the other offensive linemen taken. That's just a fact. I don't think anybody would really disagree with me. The only place you maybe could have gone was quarterback, right? And the unfortunate fact of the situation is we don't know anything about Michael Penix. As of recording this, the news actually just dropped as I sat down to record that Penix would get his first start for the Falcons next week. So we'll see. J.G. McCarthy obviously got hurt. We don't know about that. And then Bo Nix was the 6th quarterback taken and is currently the favorite to win Rookie of the Year. That's insane. I don't think anybody saw that coming, especially after draft night. That just is absolutely wild. Would the Giants have ever drafted Bo Nix? Would Giants fans have even wanted Bo Nix? I don't know. And ultimately, I don't really think that the team would be that much better. I think Bo Nix is better than Daniel Jones, even at this point. but I don't think it matters when you don't have an offensive line. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please do me a favor, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I hate being the YouTube nerd who tells people to do that, but this is a small channel, and I am really trying to grow it. It's a draft channel. I'm going to be talking NFL draft stuff all year round. Draft reviews, player profiles, mock drafts, all that good stuff. I love the NFL draft, so if you're interested in anything along those lines, please watch the journey with me. It's going to be a good one. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Peace.